Hey everybody. So, yeah, after not receiving much response from Twitter and Facebook except for a couple of comments, um there's this one person who messaged me to do something for my abnormal Sunday morning readings, and he says to read chapter 16.5 from SAO. So, I guess I'm gonna do it! So, let's go. Sword Art Online, Volume 1, Chapter 16.5. Asuna plops down naked on the sofa and glares defiantly at me. Kirito, hurry up and take off your clothes, she said in an authoritative tone. What? We're continuing? 'Cause fucking Kirito. It would be stupid if we stopped here. I hurried, compiled. Opening the window indicated by Asuna, I toggled off the option buried deep within the menu. Because of the hurried start, there was no romantic mood to speak of. Sitting on the bed, which was slightly too small for the two of us, we slowed down as much as the system would allow. The dim blue moonlight filtered the window, casting complete shadows on the bed. Since Salenberg has no marketplace, the townspeople disappeared at night. The only thing that I could hear was the faint whispering of the lake and my alarm-like heat beat, which seems to echo around the room. By this time, Asuna and I had removed all of our clothing. We had been kneeling on the bed on the floor for about 2.5 minutes. I couldn't read Asuna's expression as she balled up her fists on her knees and looked down. I thought that I should probably be the one to take the first action in the situation, but not able to predict the outcomes of any of my choices, I sat in petrified silence. I considered what would happen if I were to yell out, "Sorry," and re-equipped minimal clothing at Mach speed. Before escaping out of the room, would she say, "I guess it can't be helped," and forgive me when we meet again tomorrow? There's no way she would. Remembering back to the distant past, I was only 14, the first time that I ever logged into SAO, the winter of 8th grade. I don't want to recall how I was at that time, but I sacrificed all of the sexual energy that starts to awaken in all boys around that age and immerse myself into games. As a result, I had never been in a situation where I would be alone with a girl in a room. Obviously, I had also never been naked with a girl before. To tell the truth, I would have liked for Asuna, who I thought was probably a few years older than me and thus had expertise in this area, to take the lead. However, it seems that everything in SAO, including her, viewed me as the older than I really was. Since I had never denied any of it, there's no way that I could say to her in this situation, "Sorry, but I straightened my resolve even if I didn't have the knowledge of the experience. I had never loved or had felt such intense emotions for someone like I have for Asuna ever since SAO started. There was numerous times when I was in a situation and told myself, you can't run away from here no matter what, but here I had to muster up greater willpower than that as I extended my right hand and moved my body forward. My fingertip softly touched the gentle curves that was of Asuna's shoulders. Her body quivers sharply. I slowly traced a path from the line of her collarbone to the nape of her neck. Ugh! Asuna let off a soft moan as her eyes closed. The blood rushed to her cheeks and her eyebrows furrowed. For some time, I watched Asuna's response in secret delight as I touched her all over the place. Slightly excited by her fresh reaction, I went a bit overboard as I kept my fingertips at a point where I was just barely touching her and continually to slowly glide smoothly across her skin. I crawled down her arms, which was firmly hiding both breasts circled around her stomach, and reversed direction up her arms again. Every time my finger moved, Asuna's body would shake off a soft moan and leaked out, and caressing her entire body. I put my right hand's finger under her small chin and lifted her head up with my left index finger. I delightedly traced her wet, shining, cherry-colored lips. No, just your fingers. A softly blushing Asuna opened her eyes slightly and looked at me pleadingly. Kiss me. Dead silence. I slightly moved my face closer. Asuna's lip partly slightly as if they could not wait any longer. But instead of fastening our lips together, I softly poked her lower lip with the tip of my tongue. As seeking me out, Asuna stuck out her tongue, but I restrained myself and moved to avoid her, but before softly touching her with the tip of my tongue. Asuna let out an irritated sound of both anticipation and need as I abruptly plunged my tongue into her mouth. I violently swished my tongue around the tactile senses in SAOR, just like the sense of taste pre-programmed and activated in accordance with the situation. When you consider this, then the only actual conclusion that one can draw is the sense of feeling of the deep kiss must have been programmed in. Well, it's not like I have actually experienced in real life, but and an indescribably bewitching feels assaulted my nerves, my tongue entwined. Fuck. Asuna, as I forcefully sucked on it, as I felt all the strength go out of her body. Her eyes were moist and dim, and she was breathing erratically as I took my tongue out of her mouth and then proceed to lick down her neck, behind her ears, and then hollow off her collarbone. When I eventually reached her soft valleys that were the top of her breast, which has been hidden up until now, her whole body leapt and twitched. Her arms gripped tighter and together, and she shook her head from side to side. Asuna, move your arms. But... I want to see your breast, Asuna. I caught her wrists, which were crossed together, and pulled them apart as I slowly licked and sucked my way towards the peak of the white breast that was gradually been revealed. No. Asuna's arms were finally at her sides as her twin peaks were revealed to my eyes. The swells, which were usually hidden by the loose-fitting knight's clothing and breastplates, were bigger than I had ever imagined. Full and protruding sharply forward at their tips were a pair of nipples, which was difficult to distinguish from the surrounding areas, standing apparently in a cone-shaped form. Regrettably, the entire room was currently bathed in the blue glow of the moonlight, and... Asuna? Turn on the lights. What? No, don't! Having accepted the rejection of my request, I sucked her left nipple into my mouth. Ignoring the shrill voice that Asuna let out all of the sudden attack, I chewed on my hard nub with my lips as my tongue rolled around the stiff tip. No! I firmly held Asuna's right hand that tried to push me away as she cried out, while her body convulsed and moved my left hand over to the other breast. I squeezed her peaks between my fingers, then gently used the nail of my index finger to stimulate the tip of her right nipple. Ah! 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 As I tortured both breasts, Asuna convulsions and sweet cries rose in intensity. Going a bit overboard, I bit down on the protruding object in my mouth and somewhat violently began to chew on it, while at the same time the thumb and index finger of my left hand painfully twisted the other nipple. Oh, no, no way! Asuna's body suddenly stiffened. Her arms now encircled the back of her head, tightened their grip. No, 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 I'm with just my breath. She was unable to speak after that, letting out a hoarse, high-pitched cry from the depths of her throat. Asuna twitched and her body jumped once before collapsing against me. She was still breathing heavily. Fuck. Her body intermitted, convulsed slightly. Asuna, just now. I know, it's just embarrassing. I never had anything like that happen until now. Until now? Asuna ducked her body and looked down in her embarrassed manner. It's nothing at all. Tell me. I moved my left hand over to Asuna's left breast as she leaned against me and grasped her nipple before pulling onto it. No, stop! No more with the breast. What do you mean by until now? Asuna spoke hauntingly in a crying voice that she was once mixed with sweet moans. About the ethnic code off. After I learned about it, I did it a couple of times alone. What did you do? Was thinking about Kirito playing my breast. And down below, talking about her own fantasies seems to have increased Asuna's machoistic side. Her breathing was gradually becoming ragged as she clung to me down below, like around here. I gently moved the hand that had been abusing her breast downwards. I stroked her tense stomach, then ever so slowly moved into the direction I went over to the slight swell of her abdomen, and my fingertips reached the entrance of the two mounds. Asuna grasped as her body shook. No! I used the index finger and middle finger on my left hand to stimulate the area of her vagina, while taking care not to touch the center. I enjoyed the sensation of squeezing the two mounds together, then pulling them apart. Asuna knelt down, putting down of her arms around me, and moaned while burying her face in my neck as my fingers moved about, causing her body to jump and twitch. No. But that voice gradually became hoarse as she shook her head and wiggled her whole body. Dad, can't. Thinking that I was teasing her too much, I gradually moved my middle finger towards the center. As Asuna let out a remarkably large cry, my finger was enveloped in a slimy sensation. That place was seemingly endless, so hot, moist, and indescribably soft that I voluntarily stirred it with two fingers. No! Asuna cried out and her body started to shake and jump. Without regards for that, I needed the little knob that was peeking from the slit with my thumb, while spreading it open with two fingers. It appeared that Asuna could no longer speak as she dug her nails into the back and arched her back as far as she could. No, I can't take it anymore. But in another sense, it was also at my limit. I wanted to see every single parts of Asuna so badly that I pushed her down onto the bed and grabbed her legs, spreading them apart. What? Asuna came out with a hazy state and buckled her body to escape as she realized that she was in extreme embarrassing position. But there was no way that I was going to loosen my grip. What? What? Kirito! Don't look so closely! Asuna. I raised my head and looked steadily into Asuna's eyes. Should we turn on the lights? No! Asuna forcefully rejected my suggestion as she shook her crimson red face. Giving up, I devoted myself to examining Asuna's hidden place. The soft and fluffy pubs were pure white and smooth without a single hair growing there. This was, to say, rather than a preference of the developer, a limitation of the system itself. Hair-type objects are of the extremely heavy category. As a result, aside from the hair on the head and beards, there was also absolutely no hair anywhere on the bodies of the SAO players. In between the two smooth mounds was a single slit, and further into the light colored folds, from time to time a clear fluid dripped out and flowed towards Asuna's anus before turning into beads of light and disappearing. Whether it was from embarrassment or loss of strength, Asuna had stopped struggling, so I took my hand off of the right foot and slowly spread the slits open. Asuna's eyes turned vacant as she moaned softly inside the slit. Compared to the information I had received from the net in the real world, was an unusually simple design with what I thought was a peach-colored membrane spreading smoothly on the inside and bottom. The vaginal opening, which tirelessly produced clear fluids, was quite throbbing, and in the upper part where the slit closed together, a little protrusion peeked its head out. Within SAO, the male players must have at least once or twice racked their brains in wondering what that part of the female players looked like, but I was experiencing a certain kind of emotion, having just discovered the answers. Of course, in my own lower half, there was also a certain thing which swelled its limits, was seeking to release. But that was the first time since I had ever entered SAO that it had become like this. There is a somewhat interesting story concerning all of this. I apologize for digressing, but when SAO was under development, the iGress company had an internal closed alpha test phase, during which time they had reasoned that since players would have no use for genitals, it would not appear necessary to objectify it. However, in reality, they found that the most of the male testers would experience a certain amount of severe anxiety. Even so, while there was no problem while playing for several hours, when they conduct consecutive tests over a 48-hour period, they found that most of the male testers had attended this trial period while unable to stand not having their genitals and gave up. So it was from the beta testing phase that the genital parts was implemented out of the sense of necessity. It seemed that this was also a part of the reason why SAO players were not allowed to change their character gender. However, even if you had your genital parts, the question that I had prior to the official start of the game, meaning that there was this incident, was whether or not there would be anxiety over the lack of proper function. I myself had agonized repeatedly on multiple occasions of the inability to release my pent-up energy, but now I saw that if the ethic codes or whatever was disabled, then functional, probably even ejaculation was possible. While feeling like I had missed out on a lot but not knowing all of this until now, at this point though, I faced a new question. Having the ethic codes release function basically meant that online virtual sex had been planned within the release of the game. SAO had many underage players, such as myself, so no matter how I thought about it, this function was sure to cause a lot. While teasing Asuna's cute slit with my fingertips, I raised my head and posed that very question to her. What? Though she had spaced out look in her silky eyes, and her answer was punctuated by her heavy breathing. Asuna's serious disposition kicked in as she answered me. Ha! Ha! That's planned to use the SAO system in order to provide a personal sex service. We probably linked with that function. I see. In other words, it's probably one of those delicate arrangements. Well, enough with the chit chat. I used my left hand to open up Asuna as wide as possible. She wasn't immobilized anymore, but Asuna let out a sweet cry. With both of her legs spread wide in the air, I brought my face close and gently pushed my tongue towards the little hole in the center. Ha! Asuna shook her head from side to side as she cried. I softly stimulated the entrance to that hole with my tongue as I pushed my fingers in and out. Ah! No! Not that! Every time Asuna convulsed, a large amount of fluid would make a sticky sound on my tongue as it leaked out of her vagina. Having pushed my tongue into her hole and enjoyed the feeling of her constricting around me, I pushed myself up over Asuna. I was already swollen to my limits and felt like I would need of coming up with any continue to explore Asuna's body more. While I softly played with her pert nipple, I covered Asuna's lips with my own and whispered softly, Asuna, can I? Asuna nodded vigorously as she let out a hot breath. Yes, make me full with your thing, Kirito. Feeling slightly dizzy at the thought that this straight-laced invincible warrior told me with a tearful, I pressed myself against Asuna's moistness, my penis on the cut of the entrance of her vagina as I smoothed it up and down. Asuna firmly gripped my shoulders with her arms as she squeezed her eyes closed and furrowed eyebrows. Even in the blue pale darkness of the room, I could see that her whole body was flushed and beads of sheet sweat shined everywhere. When I placed my hand at Asuna's sides, her hips moved slightly forward. I felt a slight resistance, but with a popping sensation, half of my penis was swallowed up inside Asuna. Ah! Even with just that, Asuna just screamed as she arced her body to its limits. At the same time, my breath caught a new numbness spreading from my penis to the rest of my body. Having pushed my entire length into Asuna, I let my desire take over as I continued to penetrate her bit by bit. Asuna continued to scream as she continued to vigorously shake her head while her body shook. After I briefly wondered if it hurts, I was no longer able to stop my hips from moving as my penis continued to plunge into Asuna's deepest part with her wet slapping noises. My penis pushed all over the roots of Asuna's vagina, while she was the woman whom I never knew the best, who I knew the best and loved the most. The crazy thought that I was deep inside the Aincrat's top idol at this moment I was spinning around my mind while my lips are wet, making me go crazy. I somehow managed to calm my breathing as I put my mouth close to Asuna's ears and said, "It's all inside. Does it hurt? No, so hot. I'm going to melt." Asuna answered me in a thin, high voice as she shook her head. "Kirito, so much of you inside of me. I also felt like melting from the incredible heat that I was experiencing. My penis, which was tightly gripped by Asuna, was continued sending heat waves up my back that exploded into fireworks in my head. I was aware of Asuna's moans becoming higher and higher, and as I was immobilized, struggling against the sensation that threatened to overwhelm me. As if in anticipation, her slit also continued to tightly massage me with its convulsion. No way. Again. Asuna's voice, which sounded as if it was becoming delirious from the heat, was changing into a meltingly sweet sound, and no, again, I'm coming. She threw her head back into with a jerk and screaming loudly. Asuna climaxed with the second time. At the same time, my penis was squeezed with incredible pressure, and to my horror, I felt a raging sense boiling up inside me, seeking release. I bit my lip and fought against the feeling, supported by the thought that I couldn't relax when I recuperate. Once I was somehow able to quell the urge, panting heavily, I embraced Asuna's body, which was limped from orgasms. I knew I didn't have much time left, so I violently pulled all the way back to the opening of her vagina before pushing into all the way with one thrust. Smack! Our bodily fluids flew around. Asuna's eyes flew open as she let out a shriek. "No, if you do that, I'm gonna go crazy." I was once again forced to stop, while deep inside Asuna, the hot, soft sensation surrounds me as the throbbing of the folds penetrated my entire being. Asuna had come several times already, and if we stayed like this, I would eventually end up coming. but I didn't feel like that would be a very good way to finish. So after thinking for a moment, I gently began shifting my body. Lifting up a drowsy looking Asuna's body, I moved underneath. Eventually, the two of us switched positions with me on my back and Asuna in the mounted position on top of me. As soon as Asuna realized what sort of position she was in, her face turned even redder as she shook her head from side to side. No, this is embarrassing, Asuna. You try, maybe. What? Okay. Asuna blushed shyly as she nodded and began to gently rock her body. I'm sorry that I'm the only one feeling good, Kirito. You can come too. A sticky sound was coming from the slit that was piercing by my penis. Asuna's movements were minimal, but the powerfully being feeling was spreading through my body again. Right when I thought, at this rate, I'm gonna come right away. Her voice was once again mixed with the sound of arousal. Asuna bit down on the finger of the right hand as she moved her hips and down. Why am I like this? Asuna looked chestnut-colored hair flew into the wind every time she shook her head. Beads of sweat also flew about, turning into lights after. I'm sorry, Kirito. I'm coming. Asuna threw her body back while drawing out the last part of her sentence as she violently convulsed 2 to 3 times. Her breasts, which were sticking out in front of her, danced in time as Asuna's vagina gripped my penis tightly. I was once again assaulted with the powerful urge to come. Thinking that I wouldn't be able to resist it this time, I instinctively pushed up into Asuna's course with abandon. Grabbing her hips with my hands, I shoved my hard penis in as far as I could before pulling it out again. Before suddenly assaulted right after coming, all Asuna would do was frantically writhe about. I took her hand, which was extended towards me, and linked her fingers together. Every time I stirred up Asuna's inside, our overflowing juices would fly about as the place of our joining melted in endless heat. Amazing. Her bouncing breasts also sent large amounts of sweat flying about. Asuna was letting out delirious sweet moans with a completely melted look on her face. I'm coming. Yes, let it out. Kirito, let it all out. As Asuna myself into Asuna, I released all of my pent-up sensation that I stretched out of my lips. Asuna, I could feel my heart gushing deep into Asuna as she trembled in yet another climax. 2 years worth of semen made a galloping noise as it flowed endlessly into Asuna. Every time my penis twitched, fireworks would go in my head. After receiving all that I had to give it her, Asuna straight gave out as she fell on top of me. I gently embraced Asuna while she continued to gasp and convulse as if she was stimulated by fluids inside her body as my conscience dimmed. And that's it. This is the worst.